This is 5 Live Sport.
Tuffers and Vaughan's Cricket Show.
So many reasons to celebrate within the England camp this week. A 3-0 T20 series win against South Africa, becoming the number 1 T20 team in the world. And David Malan is the number 1 ranked T20 batsman in the world, Michael Vaughan.
Yeah, I do think I know it's early. It's T20 will come next year. Whoever beats England, I think, will win it. David Malan surprises everyone game by game. He's become an incredible T20 batsman.
And hanging cryptic messages from the balcony of the dressing room. Would that have helped or hindered you, Phil Tufnell?
Well, we used to hang our washing from the balcony of the window of the dressing room. In the heat of battle, how do you remember what they all mean? It would be like doing a really difficult crossword puzzle, and I'm not very good at those.
Well, we'll speak to one of the England players who is live in the South African bio bubble. We'll reveal the winners of the Christopher Martin Jenkins Spirit of Cricket Award. And we'll speak to the man who went to watch England in Sri Lanka back in March and stayed there during lockdown, and whose DJ name is Randy Caddick.
Tuffers and Vaughan's Cricket Show
On 5 Live.
Let us start then, gentlemen, with David Malan. The most ranking points a T20 batsman has ever had. And if I had predicted that 3 years ago, when he made his debut in this format at the age of 30, Michael, you would have said I was completely mad, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you actually look at the way that David Malan plays, you would say that he's completely suited for Test match cricket. You know, very conventional, orthodox style of player, very orthodox stance, very orthodox movements at the crease, but full credit to him. You know, he's surprised everyone, and you know, even into this series with no Joe Root, you know, I think me included, we're looking at it thinking, wait a minute, Joe Root surely is going to have to get back into this side, and he still may at the expense of someone else, but it's certainly not going to be at the expense of David Malan. I just like the way that and if you actually look at the way that he plays, he's got everything covered. So he's got every angle covered. So when he's facing the seamers, he can hit them straight, he can hit them in the V. He's also got that ability to flick it over mid-wicket or clear the leg to hit it over that kind of cow corner region. He can get it over cover point, he can play the pull shot, the hook shot, so he's got seamers covered. When he faces spin, again, he's got everything covered. He can go down the ground, he can sweep, he can reverse sweep. He's very, very difficult to keep quiet, and you know, I like the fact that, you know, in the first couple of games, he probably wasn't striking it as well as he could, but he just hung in there. Particularly that second game where the wicket wasn't easy in Pal. You know, the rate was going up, England were losing wickets, but he just kept on playing and just kept on kind of playing orthodox fashion style cricket shots, and he got England over the line. So it's a great story. It's a lesson to everyone that you're not always geared to potentially what everyone thinks you should be, and he's made himself into an incredible T20 batsman.
Yeah, I mean, playing beautifully at the moment. And as you say, Mike, he's keeping Joe Root sort of out of that T20 side at the moment. Just goes to show what kind of form he's in. Agree with everything that Mike said about his technique. He's also got the power to hit sixes as well. And the knock he played the other night at Cape Town was just phenomenal. I mean, it just looked that he had everything under control, never got behind the rate. And it's just the consistency for me as well. Every time he's coming to the crease at the moment, he's delivering a consistent performance, a match-winning performance, which is really difficult to do in T20 just because of the nature of the game.
Yeah, and Phil, if you actually look at the way that he played, particularly in that last game, you tell me any players or many in the last 3 or 4 years that have outshadowed Joss Butler in one day cricket.
Yeah,
so Joss Butler's at the other end giving him strike.
I know.
And, you know, Ellie, if 3 years ago you said, David Malan would be in the T20 team, would have gone, don't be silly. And then you'd have said, but David Malan will play, and not that Joss Butler would be at the other end giving him strike. Shut up, that's a pathetic statement. Well, that's exactly what happened. He is becoming, and I think, again, it's a lesson to everyone that you really can improve and you can get better and you can make yourself into a format player. You know, in Test cricket, I thought he could have had a longer time playing the game. He kind of got moved out of the team because he didn't quite get his weight back into the ball to those full-of-length deliveries. 50-over cricket, you can't even get into the 50-over team. With the way that he's striking it in T20 cricket, the number 1 player in the world, he can't even get into England's 50-over team, which just tells you the strength. And then you look at Joe Root, how does he get back into the team? The only place you can see available to Joe Root is Jason Roy at this minute. And the team kind of always go for a period where one player will always be kind of getting low scores and will be questioning their position in the side. I don't see an England side without Jason Roy for a good while because he's such a good player, but that's the only available spot potentially that Joe Root could get back into the side.
You mentioned, I mean, there's this perception, isn't there, that he's a bit of a slow starter, and he didn't come out of the blocks very quickly in his second innings. I think he got 55 in the second T20, and then 99 not out in the final game of the series. But is that a risk that that he's not kind of going for it, teeing off straight away?
I think he reads the game.
Yeah.
I think particularly that wicket in Paul was difficult. It wasn't a wicket where you could go out there and strike it from ball one. You had to give yourself a little bit of time, and that's why I like the way that he plays, because by doing that he's putting himself under a huge amount of pressure, because in T20 cricket, if you chew up too many balls as a batsman and you lose the game, the finger is pointed at you for chewing up that amount of balls. But he chewed up the balls and then he suddenly started to try strike the boundaries at the end. He got England over the line, and ultimately that's all that matters, is who wins at the end of the game, which batters are out there at the end of the game winning the game for the team. And David Malan, he's just got that knack of wanting to bat a long period of time in 2020 cricket and seeing England home. It's a great story. I'm delighted for him. He works hard. He's got a great kind of ethic towards the game. He's probably he's upset a few in his time. You only have to look at what's happened at Middlesex. He's now moved to Yorkshire. I'd like to say that Yorkshire can take credit for what he's achieved for the England team, but they certainly can't. He really is that style of personality that he might rub the odd person up the wrong way, but he knows how to win a cricket match.
Yeah, and as you said, come into it late on in the piece in his career as well. So he must have a good cricket brain. There must be a good cricket brain in there. And sometimes you have got to suss a wicket out in T20. There's no point in everyone going out there hitting the first ball for six and then everyone slogging it straight up in the air. You're not going to get anywhere. Sometimes you have just got to think, and that's what this England side are so good at in the moment, and proved it in South Africa, of just getting themselves over the line in T20. And they're doing it time and time again. That's a sign of a very, very sort of confident and sort of well drilled in their roles T20 side.
Look, let's get some insight from inside the dressing room, shall we? Delighted to say that we can speak now to England bowler Reece Topley. Hello, Reece.
Hello, good evening.
Lovely to speak to you ahead of the first ODI tomorrow morning. Just a little bit of a thought about, before we move on from David Malan, about what the atmosphere was like in the dressing room when he came back in, because 99 not out. Do you think had he got his maths wrong?
Well, to be honest, we were all watching in the dugout, and I think there was 12 to win when he had quite a bit of the over to go, and we were sort of thinking, will he do it in 2 sixes, or could he do it in a few boundaries or something? And then when he obviously we needed 2 to win and he hit a single, I think we were obviously so happy to win. But we're all a bit gutted for Mala, because a match-winning 100 and to seal the game in an unbelievable effort is something probably he deserved.
Have you ever found yourself stranded, Michael, on 99?
Oh, sorry, I thought you were going to ask me there, Ellie. I thought you were going to ask me there.
Well, I thought, shall I ask Reece, shall I ask Tuffers, or shall I ask Michael?
Ellie's certainly not in white ball cricket, no.
Reece, I wonder if actually, in some ways, there are echoes with your story, with what David's done, with the way that he's been patient, he's had to work at things. He was out of the England, he was kind of on the fringes of the England setup. Did you think that your England career was effectively over when you got injured a few years ago?
To be honest, I didn't play cricket for a portion of time, and that was honestly, I'd sort of washed my hands with cricket and I was ready to take on something else, because whatever we do as cricketers, our second career is probably going to dominate our working lives. I mean, cricket is something we do, if you're lucky, 10 years, and some people are pushing on 20 years, but then whatever we do next, we're going to be doing that for much longer. So, to be honest, I was ready for the next step, but thankfully it was friends all over the place that convinced me to start bowling again in nets and manage to turn some few heads.
Yeah, Reece, Tuffers here, mate. You must have had a lot of support behind the scenes. Is that sort of the cricket family and friends?
Strangely, it was the people that I sort of met along the way. I went to Australia just to catch up with some friends, and then they were like, come and have a bowl at us in the nets. And I remember there were some people just sort of pulled me to one side and they were like, what are you doing? You've got you have to bowl. You have to like try and play this summer. And I was happy just playing on a social level, because I think that's the best side of the game, is that cricket brings so many people together through spending such a long time together, and you get to know some people really well. And I'm just thankful that they sort of talked me back into bowling. Because
how bad were your injuries? It was stress fractures in your back, wasn't it? That was the main problem. At what point did you think, I'm just not going to put my body through this anymore?
Well, to be honest, when it happens each time, I remember the first time I did it, that I approached it like a 19-year-old kid would, that I was ready to get my head down and tackle it. But then the second and the third time was slowly getting harder. But then ultimately, when it happens a fourth and a fifth time, I think you do start asking yourself questions, and is it really worth it? And ultimately, is this a quality of life? Because when it's your back, it's quite limiting with what you can do and stuff. So ultimately, it was, can you get a decent lifestyle back? Can you sort of run? Can you, down the line, could you play with your children or whatever it could be? And I did sort of pose those questions to myself, and like I said, I was happy to sort of move on to the next thing.
It must be great to be back, as you say, in the England fold, so to speak. It just looks a really great atmosphere to be involved in at the moment. Everything going right, everything falling into place. Just describe sort of like what it is like to be part of sort of Team England at the moment.
I think that's a really good question. I think it is unbelievable. It is just so fun. And with international cricket, you'd sort of anticipate quite a lot of pressure. But I think that the way that Morgs and from the top down they handle things, you don't really feel the pressure. It does feel like you want to be in that 11, because those 11 players are going to have an unbelievable amount of fun out on the pitch. The batsmen are going to play with such aggression and such, a degree of sort of a calculated risk. And as a bowler, we're all going to be on the front foot. Anything we do, even fielding, we're always trying to sort of put the pressure on the opposition. And when you've got 11 guys that are all behind you doing that as well, it is really, really good, really good fun. And that's all I can say about it.
And Reece, is it such an obvious difference from the last time you were in the squad to now, of how much it's changed?
I wouldn't say, from Trevor and Farbs, I wouldn't actually say that it's changed. I think Morgs has still got the game plan that he described back then. But the thing is that the players have all moved on, and they've really taken those roles and made them their own, and then almost taken them to another level. If you look at Joss, when I was playing alongside him a few years back, I don't know how many matches he'd have won, but now he's won so many. Same with Jason, is that I remember playing with him and he got his first ODI 100, and now he's got plenty of them. So all the players have moved on, and to be honest, I'm just playing catch up now.
But have you got ambitions for World Cups? Well, there's next year. There's T20 World Cup in India. Then there's another one in Australia. Then there's 50 over World Cup 3 years away. What kind of conversations have you had, or are you thinking secretly inside yourself?
When it comes to conversations, I don't think necessarily there's any conversations to be had. Anything that happens on the cricket field, all of us will be watching it, and if you put in the performances, you can expect to be on the flights to the World Cups and the next tour or whatever. But if you don't take the opportunity, you will see that opportunities slip away because of the amount of talent that there is, that someone can fill in your place if you're not performing to the standard that we are expecting now.
Well, look, we wish you all the best for the series coming up. A final question to you. What does 4E mean?
I think the analyst was giving out our seats for the flight home.
Well, at least you're at the right end of the plane.
Yeah.
That is a different one. We've had lottery numbers, we've had shoe sizes. Look, well, we're going to talk about this in a second, but before we do that, Reece, thank you so much. Lovely to talk to you.
Thanks.
And great to have you back and
good luck, mate.
playing again properly.
Good luck, Reece.
We should just a quick word about Reece. Now he's gone. You can say nice things about him, not to make him blush. I mean, he brings something so different, doesn't he? Because he's so tall, he's so strong, left armour. Tuffers, what do you think of him?
Yeah, just quick, wholehearted performer, very skillful as well with the ball. Got slower balls, changes of pace. Obviously, the left arm angle. Everyone wants one of those. And I suppose, he's got to be pretty decent, or the England staff must think he's pretty decent, because he's sort of keeping David Willey out of the side, who had done very, very well for England. So, yeah, big, tall, quick, good skills. Yeah,
I think it's his height and bounce. He can move the ball either way. And as Tuffers said, to keep David Willey, had such a good summer against Ireland. I know it's only Ireland, but Willey was outstanding against the Irish. I wish him well, Reece. When you see someone, I had a few injuries in my time, and it's difficult, particularly when you've had one and then two, then three, to keep coming back, keep kind of going to the well of saying, come on, can you do it one more time, and can you go through the rehab, be with the physios day in, day out, the trainers, not playing cricket. For him to have come through that and then hopefully to get his chance over the course of the next three games, it's a great straight story, and he's got the skills, no question about that. We saw that and have seen it for a few years when he's played. He's certainly got the skills to play international cricket.
And another thing, Mike, as well, is big fast bowlers, when the back starts playing up. He mentioned there, you start thinking about, can I play with the kids? Can I get out of bed in the morning? I know, no one likes a bad knee or something like that, but when the old tin stack starts creaking, you've got to be very careful.
Right, okay, well, let's talk a bit more about these mysterious letters and numbers, which were seen hanging from the England dressing room balcony during those T20 games. We now know that it's coded information passed from the analyst Nathan Lehman, intended to help Captain Eoin Morgan with his decisions during play. Now, Vaughan, we know your thoughts on this. We know your thoughts on this, as does Eoin Morgan himself. So let's hear first his defence of it and what he has to say to those who've been critical of it.
100% within the spirit of the game. There's nothing untoward about it. There's always been constant communication, verbal or physical, from the changing room to us on field to, I suppose, help improve my decisions as captain and Joss's decisions as vice captain. It's something that we've used a lot pre-game and are experimenting with during the game now. Yeah, I think captains are different. You get captains that I think really enjoy, I suppose, the title and the power and the accolades that go with it. And then you've other captains that continue to be pushed and want to learn for the benefit of the team. And for me, this is a system that we're going to use to try and help myself and the other leaders within the side.
What do you make of that, Michael?
I didn't like it. I don't see how, an England side that's so good needs to show the opposition anything. Eoin Morgan is the greatest white ball captain we've had by a good distance. Jos Buttler's probably the greatest white ball cricketer we've ever had behind the stumps. I just don't see why you'd want to give the opposition any kind of information from the balcony. This system's been used in the Pakistan Super League. There's no secrets in cricket. So this system will be out there. So there will be players that were in that Pakistan Super League that know about this system. They might not be using the same numbers and the same letters, but the system's out there. Now, I just like things done privately. By having it openly exposed, there's that many players out there in terms of the 12th man that could run on a bit of information. If it's a match-up for the captain to remind himself of who bowls best to which batsman, etc., etc. If there's more information coming from the data, and let me be very honest, I like data. I like information, but I don't like it open like I've just seen it in the last game, because I just think you're giving the opposition something. Now, I also look at it from a perspective of anti-corruption. We've been hounded with anti-corruption and match-fixing problems within cricket for many, many years, and I have no idea how the ICC can clear a analyst giving information to the team from the sideline. And I know Owen mentioned there that, you can pass a piece of paper. That's fine because it's private. A 12th man can run on a bit of information, that's private. But by deliberately putting signals on a balcony, now we're in times at the minute where there's no crowds in the ground. Now, what happens in a few months' time, hopefully, when there's people in the crowd? There has been many thrown out the ground having computers and phones. Now, I think the ICC have to look at this and go, wait a minute, why would we allow some kind of signalling to go on from the balcony that potentially, I'm just saying potentially, could be picked up by someone in that ground that could be used in some kind of corruption? That's the kind of big story, if you like, but I just didn't like it. I don't think this England team need it. I don't think they need to kind of give any kind of information away, and particularly Harry Morgan. He's such a good captain that if there's information, you should just have a piece of paper in your pocket to remind yourself of the matchups.
So just to make this clear, so the ICC, they cleared this with the match referee at the time. They talked to the anti-corruption unit at the time as well. Before this went ahead, as you say, it's been happening in the Pakistan Super League too. So your concern, Michael, is more the idea that if somebody works out the codes, they could be spot fix. It's encouraging spot fixing. Is that what you're saying? So betting on saying, so for an example, if the instruction was to Chris Jordan to bowl this kind of ball, because the analyst thought that was the case, and then somebody in the crowd could think, aha, right, okay, quickly get on, say the next ball from Chris Jordan will be this kind of ball.
No, I think what it is,
is that your concern?
I think the information that gets passed on is for the next over, for the match up to the next over. And it comes late in the over to remind the captain that X and Y might be the way to go. Probably just one X is the way to go to the next over. It takes some kind of person that doesn't know the code to be very clever to understand the code, but you just wouldn't want to get into a situation where things get out. And anti-corruption is something that has been on top of the game for many years, and rightfully so. But I'm certainly not questioning at all the England side in terms of them being involved in any kind of issue at all in that regard. But I don't like it. I don't think it is required. I think there's enough information now that is gathered pre-match. I think there's enough information gathered inside the game which you can get passed out to you as a player on the pitch, as a captain or a vice captain. There's 11 players out there that are out there to think anyway. I just don't like the fact that there could be an analyst on a computer logging stuff, and all of a sudden he's got numbers and letters dangled over the balcony, where I just don't think cricket needs that. I personally, I just didn't like it.
Yeah, Mike, what exactly are the letters and the numbers saying? Are they saying about bowlers coming on at the next over?
I guess so, Phil. I guess so. And I think Owen, look, is in his right, absolutely, as a captain. He wants to have every ounce of information, but I believe that cricket doesn't need another situation where we're looking at a scenario where coding is used to potentially bring that dreaded kind of fix back into the game. And I just think there's enough information required that you could have in your pocket, have the 12th man running out to give you that kind of information without it being so visible in the game situation. I just don't think, particularly this England side, in actual fact, if it was a bluff, so if they're playing poker, for instance, and they're trying to say they were putting numbers and letters on the balcony and it meant absolutely nothing. But the South Africans were looking up going, what are those letters and numbers? Try and confuse them. I'm in for that kind of stuff. Bluff the opposition, but don't bring any information, particularly when it's been used already. I just didn't like it.
Well, there was the thing where Bob Woolmer tried to bring it in, didn't it? Having the earpiece,
walkie-talkie,
walkie-talkie straight to the captain. I
prefer that. That's fine.
Yeah,
it's private.
Yeah, but then I also think that once you cross that white line, you've done your preparation, you've done your analysis. I think then, as you say, it's almost then sort of taking away the art of captaincy a little bit, isn't it? Because the captain has the decision and sees how the game. If all the captain is doing is just sort of like looking at reading numbers and who should be bowling changes and what things and what fields to have and things like that, there's no sort of like art of captaincy or art of playing the game. Do your preparation beforehand, get all your analysis, take that onto the field, and I do think that once you then go onto the field, it's up to the
there's enough breaks, Phil. There's enough breaks in cricket.
Yeah, but I don't even like it when there's sort of like people run on messages and things like that, really. I know occasionally, get on with it or do this or do that. I like it that, once you're on the field, a bit like the football when they started bringing in those 25-minute water breaks and everything. Coaching's happening then, isn't it? Once you cross that white line, go and play the game, and then you've got to be flexible on the field.
I used to use information all the time.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going at lunch and tea for that, don't you?
Or I'd run off the pitch for a quick toilet break just to have a chat with one of the coaches to see if they've seen anything or have I done anything wrong. I wanted that information, but I just don't like it visible. I just think information in this world, it should be passed, particularly in team situations in a game, it should be private. I just don't. I didn't like it. I didn't think it was a good look for the game, and I thought at times that the analyst was almost smirking when he was kind of flicking over. He's probably thinking, "Have I got the right number? Have I got the right letter?" He's probably a nervous man trying to get the right number and letter. But no, I didn't like it.
No, I actually thought that Owen Morgan might have been having a game of chess with Chris Silverwood. Knight to E4. You know what I mean? Concentrate on the game.
One thing that makes me laugh, Philip, I was getting it. People were saying, "Oh, you're a dinosaur." I'm not a dinosaur at all. I really like innovation, and I love all the data that cricket is providing.
Yeah,
I use it all the time in broadcast. I love it. I love all the gathering of information, stats, strike rates, you name it, pitch maps, Hawkeye, love it. But a lot of it that we use on television, that's what all the teams get. They'll get some more because they have different systems, but it should be kept private. The amount of team meetings and all the players and all the bowlers they know the matchups. They know exactly where to bowl to each batsman, and if you're struggling, get someone to just run it back out to you.
And I wonder if the interesting thing is that whether Morgs then can go against that. Because sometimes you just get a feeling. It doesn't matter how much.
Well, I think the ICC will step
data.
in, Phil. I really do. I just don't think they can allow and rightfully so. It's been anal for years in terms of phones being taken off the players, no communication. Match referees and kind of anti-corruption units in and around hotels studying who's talking to who. Yet they can allow an analyst to put some kind of signals from the balcony, which could potentially have someone in the crowd looking, hello, Phil Tufnell's bowling next.
Have a few
what a
quid
shock.
on that.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Look, I kind of have a feeling we may return to this in future weeks,
Yeah.
but let's just reflect on 2020 for a moment, because each year we give out the Christopher Martin Jenkins Spirit of Cricket Award in memory of our colleague and friend. And I'm delighted to say that this year's winner is Cricket West Indies for their courageous decision to bring the men's and women's teams to tour England in a year that was so disrupted by COVID-19. And it's lovely to talk to the West Indies captain, Jason Holder, who joins us live on Tuffers and Vaughan.
Hey.
Jason, how are you?
Hi, I'm not doing too bad. Good morning to you, Tuffers. Good morning to you,
Hello,
Vaughan.
mate.
Jace, how are you, mate? How was yesterday?
Yesterday was a toil, man. Tough work, but, day two again today.
You got Williamson, didn't you?
Yeah, he's stuck in. Batted pretty well yesterday. We just need to break the partnership early this morning and hopefully get a couple with potentially the new ball.
Yeah. Are you having breakfast at the moment, Jason?
Well, I'm not having. It's in front of me. I haven't been able to eat it yet. So.
Look, I mean, we so loved having you over during the summer, and I know how hard it was because we chatted about it at various stages during that series, didn't we? And it was to be away from home at a difficult time, holed up in hotels, and did you kind of think at the time we're making big sacrifices to come over here, or did we think this is the job, this is what we're going to do?
No, it definitely was a sacrifice. Obviously knowing the situation with COVID, the UK has been, pretty tough in terms of their COVID cases and the way it's been dealt with. So we knew it was a kind of a risk, but again, the ECB laid out a really good platform and something that we felt comfortable with. Credit to them. When we went over, it was excellent. The hospitality was good. Obviously, the bubble was difficult, but we felt safe, and that was the main thing. We were able to just get on and crack on with cricket.
Yeah, did you realise sort of how big it was to get playing sport again, and sort of like, as you say, you've mentioned the sacrifice there, but also then the bigger picture about the whole sort of thing about just getting back out there and playing. Did you sort of take that all on board?
Yeah, it was a lot to take on board. I think the first thing we did was sit down as a group and just really talk through, the pros and cons of touring. We obviously wanted to play cricket, but it had to be in a safe environment. And again, I think both boards, both Cricket West Indies, ECB have done an excellent job in coinciding to get a tour on. And, it was rolled out perfectly. And I can't really complain with the quality of service that we had. The cricket was really good, and it was good to get back on the cricket field, after having spent maybe 3-4 months not doing anything. Since then, we've been able to resume cricket. And if you look at the status of the world, there have been tons of job loss, and to see us, still having an opportunity to go out there and do something we love and being paid to do it it speaks volumes. So we're appreciative of the fact that we still have a job, and hopefully the world will get back to some kind of normalcy soon.
I don't know if you remember this, Jason, but at the end of the series, you sat and had a chat with a few of us in the bar of the hotel in Manchester, and I remember you saying,
You sure it was me?
I get kind of somebody who looked vaguely like you, anyway. But talking about the fact that, you were all about to disappear off and go home, so you were released, I think, at that stage. But you said at the time that we don't really want gratitude is nice, but gratitude doesn't pay the bills. I'm kind of slightly paraphrasing what you said, and actually what we need is proper support of the West Indies cricket team and the ability to be able to get, to be able to afford to play cricket, play Test cricket particularly, because it's not a lucrative business.
Well, it's not these days for us particularly. We've had to make a few sacrifices. There've been, different fluctuations between, in terms of compensation for Test cricket particularly. It's been a lot of ongoing battles in terms of, adequate compensation for different formats. But, we're still in that hill task. We're still battling on. And I think credit must be given also to our CEO, Johnny Grave, who, in my opinion, is doing an excellent job in trying to create a level playing field for everyone, trying to make better for West Indies cricket and trying to stay afloat. We've been placed under many financial constraints recently, obviously post-COVID. And it's still a battle, but we're all still here. We're trying to fulfill our FTP obligations, and hopefully we can get some cricket next season in the Caribbean.
Yeah, and you must have been delighted with actually the way the boys sort of came together and played. I mean, it was a fantastic standard of cricket.
Yeah, the guys played some really good cricket. We won the first Test match.
Yeah.
We competed throughout the entire series. A bit disappointing the way it finished, but again, credit to England. I guess a few people may say we'd run out of steam, but we tried to play our best team to clinch the series. It didn't work out for us. In hindsight, we could still say a few things, but I enjoyed playing. We all enjoyed playing, and it was good to see all the boys come together.
Jace, can I ask you about the World Test Championship? Where do you see it fits?
Well, at the moment, we still, the change of the rules obviously is bringing a different dynamic to it. Hopefully we can finish it. I guess there's a lot of debate on whether or not it would be finished and finish in a timely manner. So we just got to wait and see. I think it's a wonderful tournament. I think there've been a lot of series, in the context of world cricket that have been pretty much dead rubbers, and to see that we have something to play for now, it speaks volume for the entire ICC.
Is it something, Jace, that you'd want to carry on? Obviously, the cycle finishes. It looks like the Test Championship final will be in England next summer, hopefully, all being well. Is it something that you'd like to carry on?
Yeah, I think it has a place. As I said before, there's so many series that people question whether or not, question why you're playing them. Particularly for us as a bottom tier team, it's still good to play against some of the top ranked sides. So quite often, I've remarked to the guys, I've only played against South Africa in one Test series, and I've been playing Test cricket now for the last 6-7 years. I think with the Test Championship now creates a better avenue for you to play everyone, and get to experience different conditions, play against different teams and different oppositions. So I like the concept. Maybe it could be sat down and rejigged or tweaked here and there. But I mean, at the start of anything, you're gonna have a few kinks to iron up, and I'm sure the IC will put their heads together to make it perfect.
And you said West Indies are a kind of a lower rank, lower tier nation at the moment. What will it take to get you back to the top, back competing and feeling, that you are proud to play Test cricket?
Well, I could say we're proud to play, but to get us back up the ladder, we just got to be consistent. There's been too much inconsistency in West Indies cricket in general, not only in Test format, but in all three formats. I think we just got to be consistent. There are a few contributing factors that I would attribute to that, and more or less, I think if we can focus and just be a little bit more detailed in our planning and overall governance of West Indies cricket, I believe that will go a long way in us going in the right direction. At the moment, I still feel we need a few more developmental programs to continue to harness the talent and continue to develop the talent which we have. I think if we have a few more of these things put in place, then we would see some improvement, or quicker improvement and more consistent improvement.
And Jace, I don't know if you've seen England over the last week or so. They've been using a signalling system from the analyst. Is there something that you're going to take on board?
I actually heard about it. I haven't seen it and don't understand it fully. I've been so caught up here, and the difference, it gets to me a lot too. But I guess to it and see exactly what it is, and who knows, maybe it could be an avenue that we can go down.
Well, look, thank you so much for sharing your breakfast with us, Jason, and best of luck for the rest of the series as well. Quickly get in there before they take all the fruit and the croissants and everything away. It's just great to talk to the West Indies captain, Jason Holder, on Tuffers and Vaughan. Now on Sports Extra from 8 a.m. tomorrow, commentary of the first T20 between Australia and India. Australia won the ODI series 2-1. And Michael, you said after the first game that Australia would win all the formats. Did you see anything in that third ODI to change your mind?
No, I'm afraid not. Cummins and Stark were rested. The Aussies gave a debut to Cameron Green. He looks a prospect for Australia, the all-rounder. No, I didn't. I mean, the pitch was quite a slower wicket. Had a bit of tennis ball bounce, offered a bit of spin. India batted first in the third game, got 302. It was an amazing partnership, actually, between Ravindra Jadeja and Hardik Pandya. 152 for 5 in the 32nd to get to 302 for 5 was a great effort. Australia in the chase, they should have won. Aaron Finch was controlled it, played a poor show. Then Maxwell, who's in great form, he was controlling it. Just played one too many risky shots. And the Aussies didn't just manage to get over the line. But I think the T20s, India have been strong this year. The Tests, just one of the 4 with Virat Kohli, 3 without the skipper. I think it's going to be a struggle for India, particularly in those Test matches. The first Test is in Adelaide, the pink ball game. Australia have never lost a pink ball game in Adelaide, but I think India will have to win that first Test with Virat to come out the traps. If they do, obviously anything's possible, but if they lose that first game and then Virat goes back for the birth of his first child, I could see it being 4-0.
Yeah, you just think with the likes of Warner back, Smith back, as you say, Labuschagne, who's now sort of like really cemented himself in that middle order. Last time India won in Australia, wasn't it? They blew the batting away. They were always on top of the game, always looking to take 20 wickets. Australia on the back foot, sort of almost having to defend. I just think now as well that, the tide might have just turned a bit, and I think Australia will look to come out and dominate.
Yeah, I mean, Warner's got this niggle, he's got this groin problem. It looks like he might miss the first game, so India, first game with Virat, no David Warner potentially, they have to win that first Test match.
What about
crucial.
Steve Smith? In those ODIs, 2 centuries in successive games. I think he got them both off 62 balls or something like that. I mean, he's a machine, isn't he?
He just keeps coming up on my phone, and on me every time I look at my phone,
he's ringing you for advice.
He's putting messages over the balcony for me. It just keeps seeing Steve Smith, another 100. Steve Smith, 62 ball, 100, another 100. He is just phenomenal.
Phil, but you'll like it. Just pre-series, he can't. I mean, Steve Smith, he is a freak. He's incredible. But he gave this interview 2 days before the start of the series, and he just said, "I found my hands." He found his hands. Yeah.
Well, that's
on his bat. He felt that his grip had not been quite right in the IPL, and somehow something changed in practice, and he found his hands, and he went and struck a 62 ball 100 on the Friday, a 62 ball 100 on the Sunday, and then on the Wednesday that we've just seen, he was caught down the leg side. He's found his hands. That's an issue.
Well, that is handy.
But it's so interesting, isn't it? The way that players talk about, when you're Steve Smith, I mean, he, as you say, he's a genius, really, in so many ways. Just to say, I've found my hands. Can you kind of imagine what he meant, Mike? Phil, both of you, by saying that, because I think some people laughed at him for saying that.
Well, no, it's meaning that he actually didn't feel that he was in much nick. You know what I mean? And now he's just feeling that everything's moving. He's clipping things through leg side, opening back faces, and everything's, which is then a real worry. When Steve Smith said he's now feeling that he's good and he's hitting the ball where he wants to, look out. And so that's what I think he meant, wasn't it, Mark?
Yeah, it's like it have felt comfortable with his hands on his bat.
It's not that he'd lost them.
No, it's not. Like they've not been chopped off or anything. No. They were there, but they weren't working in the kind of fashion that he would have liked.
I suppose.
Correct, absolutely.
Yeah,
exactly. And it's not. It won't have just been his hands. It had been his trigger movements. It had been his bat swing. It had been the playing of the bat coming through the ball, and whatever he did in practice. And also, I think sometimes in T20 cricket, particularly in the IPL when he played, he was so I don't know, he was just trying to hit a boundary every single ball. He was moving himself all over the place. He was trying too many trick shots, and he probably just went back to basics. He probably went back to the basics of the game. Right, what is the back grip that I use and have used for many years? That one. This is the movement that I use at the crease. Pre-delivery, bang, thank you very much. Watch the ball, hit a few balls in practice, and there you go. A little bit of simplicity works, and it works for the greatest. And certainly Steve Smith is right up there with the best.
Tuffers.
Yeah, Mike, we were just talking about croissants and fruit for breakfast. What did you used to have every morning before you were going out for a big knock? Full English, wasn't it?
Full Monty. Yeah, maybe scrambled eggs on toast, a few beans, sausage, cappuccino, maybe some crunching up cornflakes to start.
You can't score a ton on fruit, can you?
To be fair, he's in the field, and it looks like they're in the field for a while because Williamson's 97 not out, and I don't know if you saw the pitch, but it was green. And they obviously haven't bowled quite as well, or the pitch hasn't done quite as much as expected. But he might be in for a long day, this skipper, Jason Holder. Just Ellie, just back on the Indian, Australia, and the New Zealand West Indies series. How good is it to see fans? I know we've seen a few football fans arrive this week, and we're going to see some at Twickenham. But in Australia, from the T20 in the morning, which is on BBC 5 Live Sports Extra. A full house, I think, at the SCG. They've had, I think, 50-50 so far. A full house at the SCG. Wow. It's just great to see the fans back.
Well, it was that reverse sweep from Glenn Maxwell, which went flying into the stand. I mean, I reckon about 100 metres. Yeah. And actually to have fans in the stands reacting to the ball flying over their heads and trying to catch it. I mean, it was a ridiculous shot in the first place. Can I ask Phil, right? A great moment.
Ian Chappell has been very vocal over the last week about this switch hit. He thinks it's wrong. He thinks it's wrong that a batter who's batting right-handed can suddenly switch around and basically bat left-handed. You're a left-arm spinner. You suddenly can't change the ball right arm. Halfway through, you run up. Good luck trying, by the way, Phil. Yeah, I'm not too sure about it. I think it's a huge amount of skill that the batter is producing to play that kind of shot under pressure in a game situation. I know I am an ex-batsman, but I have no problem whatsoever with it.
Well, I don't mind the reverse sweep, but then the switch hit, I think that once you declare at your stance, the way you're going to bat, I think you should stay that way. I do.
So
because then your mindset as a bowler is then working out where to bowl the ball to a right-handed
watch the
batsman.
Watch him move and then firing a Yorker or firing something.
Well, no, I agree with that, but I think that once you declare that you've come out there, you've got to bat the same way you do. I make him right a little bit, Mike.
Yeah, are you getting rid of the switch hit, Phil? Are you banning it?
I might, but not the reverse sweep. The switchy is a different kind of thing.
Okay, listen, we need to talk to somebody who has stayed up very, very late for us. We're going to speak to him now. He was on a plane on the way to Sri Lanka for England's tour in March, and then he landed and found out that it had been cancelled because of COVID-19. But instead of coming home, he's still there. And Rob Lewis, so what have you been doing in the 8 months since you landed in Sri Lanka?
Just settling in for long innings. It's been a bit strange really. Because I was with all the England fans the first week in Uluwatuna, and then the news came that the foreign ministers that asked everyone to come home. And I was just like, hang on, I've just got here. I've just worked to afford this trip. And I just didn't want to give it up so easy. So I just went further around the coast and just pitched up on the beach during COVID. And it was all right. Adopted a little beach dog for a while. Named him Pup, a nice little fella. And it wasn't the worst lockdown anyone's had.
No.
Rob, I heard you on another station. I won't say which one the other morning, or maybe in the afternoon. Just tell us the whole story. So you've kind of got over there. You've got the dog on the beach. You've got into a bit of DJing, and you've also got to know the Sri Lankan backroom team, haven't you?
Yeah, that's correct. When the lockdown kind of lifted after about 2 months, life kind of went back to normal. So there was sort of parties going on. And this matey just said, "Do you want to help me DJ?" I'm like, "Okay." So started teaching me, and started playing at some parties. So have been learning that, and then got to Colombo and managed to get myself a gig. And he says, "Oh, what's your DJ name?" And I'm like, I haven't even got a DJ name yet. So I had to think of one. I was like texting my mates, I've got to have like a cricket themed DJ name because it's like why I'm here. And we came up with Randy Caddick.
I love it.
I like it. Can we ask why you came up with that name?
There was a few in the mix, but that was the funniest. So we stuck with that one. But yeah, there's a flyer being made with Randy Caddick on. I was greasing up when I saw it. Yeah.
And so tell us about the Sri Lankan team, because so you got to know Mickey Arthur.
This is true. Yeah, a mutual friend of mine, Tom. He introduced me to Mickey. So yeah, I met him then, and then this kind of came a regular thing, and all the other Sri Lankan coaches came, like Grant Flowers there, Macca, David Saker has just joined, and we kind of just all meet like every week and just like have like just like you meet your mates down the pub, have a few drinks, talk about the week, and it's been great. Mickey like just loves the fact that I'm still here waiting for the cricket, and I've been joking with him. Like, I've just said, I've waited all this time. I don't even know if I'm going to be let in the ground. So can I just get like, I don't know, can I help out? I'll be a water boy or something, just to like trying to get in the bubble and get in the ground. Yeah. So he said he's working on it.
Yeah, and it looks now as if you are finally going to fulfil your dream of watching England playing in Sri Lanka, because they're due to be playing in January now, aren't they? They're coming out for some test matches.
Yeah, that's true. I'm not sure if it's like officially been told, but yeah, I think there's 2 in January. Both are in Gaul, so it's not far from where I am. And yeah, I'm so looking forward to it. I think it's going to be 10 months to the day since I landed to watching the cricket. So I don't know what the record is for getting to a game early, but I'll stay at my pace anyway.
Randy, I reckon we can do a campaign to get you in that ground.
Oh, without doubt.
If you're the only person in that ground, the sport in England, we surely, through our contacts, somehow can even part of the ground. They have lots of ground staff in Sri Lanka, just in case those thunderstorms are off. So even if it's just part of the ground staff, surely we can get Randy Caddick in that ground.
Mike, you've got to go to the top, mate. Go straight to the top.
Am I going? Yeah, okay. Let's go to the top.
If Vaughan says it's going to happen, Rob, it's going to happen. He's
We'll
put his reputation on the line. Look, thank you so much, Rob, for staying up late for us. Enjoy it. Enjoy your DJing. Enjoy the cricket when it happens as well.
No problem. Thank you very much, guys.
Great to talk to you. Great to talk to you.
Is he going to come home? Is he going to ever come home?
I wouldn't have thought so.
Why would you?
I was going to say. Very quick before we go, the big reaction to last week was the news that tea was under threat. Looks like they've done a revote, and Sussex are bringing tea back.
Well,
it's a little bit like the government at the minute, isn't it? Things change.
I would have been disappointed if they'd have got rid of the tea break. Good. What's the world coming to? Thank God it's been reinstated.
Can't get rid of the pork pie.
Oh, love a pork pie.